In Pigeon Explosion, take care of one pigeon at a time, feeding it with crumbs, grain, delicacies, until it is super happy. Take the 3 decks Search, Explosion, Pigeons, and shuffle them separately. Each player draws a pigeon card to keep face up in front of them. Pigeon cards provide a special ability. Read it carefully and keep it in mind. Each player draws 4 search cards to keep in their hand. Are you the person who has most recently been pooped on by a pigeon? Bad luck, but at least here you are the first player. During the game, the players must feed and protect the pigeons on their pigeon cards. Starting from the first player, turns proceed clockwise until the game ends. During your turn, choose one of the following actions: search or feed. If you decide to search, draw 2 cards from the search deck. If you decide to feed, play up to 2 cards from your hand and activate them. There are 2 kinds of cards. You can play food cards or action cards in any combination, but you can play only 1 food card on an opponent's pigeon each turn. Action cards with an exclamation mark are instant cards. They do not count in the limit of 2 cards played in your turn, and they can be played at any time, also during an opponent's turn. Action cards are played, activated, and immediately discarded. Food cards have to be played next to a pigeon, yours or an opponent's pigeon, from left to right. Each food card has a value that contributes to make a pigeon happy. They can also show a poo symbol that can be triggered by other cards' abilities. Play your cards wisely to feed your pigeons, and use the abilities you need to move cards, discard cards, give bad cards to your opponents, and protect your pigeon. A pigeon becomes happy when the total value of food cards played on that pigeon reaches or exceeds 10. There might be some cards' abilities that give you alternative ways to make a pigeon happy. For instance, feeding a pigeon with 3 grains makes it immediately happy. When your pigeon becomes happy, follow these steps. Flip the pigeon card face down and keep it in front of you. Discard all the cards played on that pigeon. Draw a new pigeon card and place it over the flipped card, so that only the happy pigeon is showing. All players who have more than 4 cards in their hand must discard until they have 4 cards in hand. Your turn ends immediately. A pigeon explodes when it has 4 or more food of different colors. There are some cards' abilities that give you alternative ways to make a pigeon explode. For instance, feeding a pigeon with 2 waste makes it immediately explode. When your pigeon explodes, follow these steps. Flip the pigeon card face down and keep it in front of you. Discard all the cards played on that pigeon. Draw a new pigeon card and place it over the flipped card, so that only the explosion is showing. Draw 2 explosion cards. All the other players draw 1 explosion card. If a pigeon simultaneously meets the conditions to be happy and to explode, it explodes. After you have searched or fed, then it's the next player's turn. When a player has 2 exploded pigeons in a game with 4 or 5 players, or 3 exploded pigeons in a game with 2 or 3 players, they are eliminated. The first player to obtain 2 happy pigeons in a game with 4 or 5 players, or 3 happy pigeons if you are playing with 2 or 3 players, wins the game. Alternatively, the last remaining player is the winner. You are now ready to play Pigeon Explosion.